Welcome to Kaleidoscope S4IG. Let's talk. After months of uncertainty, the IMF gave Sri Lanka some good news with a staff-level agreement to support Sri Lanka with a 48-month arrangement under an external fund facility for $2.9 billion US. However, Sri Lanka is not out of the woods yet. There's much more to be done, and it's not an easy path ahead either. With me today is Sujit CanagaRetna, who has worked in public policy for over 25 years in the US, with experience in economic and policy for state legislatures across 15 states. He joins us on Kaleidoscope S4IG Let's Talk today with some insights on Sri Lanka's journey thus far and the one further ahead. Welcome, Sujit. So good to have you on the show. Now that Sri Lanka has reached a staff-level agreement with the IMF, and in September there's a Japan aid group meeting planned, does this augur well for Sri Lanka?
Yes, so that's a huge accomplishment. This is the first step in terms of Sri Lanka getting back on track and reaching some level of economic equilibrium. The IMF agreement is crucial because that's going to signal to the international lending community that Sri Lanka is under the supervision and will be held accountable in terms of their economic decisions, which will lead to the flow of international capital to Sri Lanka.
Looking at where Sri Lanka is right now, what would the IMF terms and conditions be for that final bailout, even though we've now got this staff-level agreement?
We have something like 1.5 million public sector employees in Sri Lanka, and that number has doubled in the last 15 years. So that area is going to be an area of focus in terms of reducing those numbers. Then we have over 500 state-owned enterprises, which most of them very unprofitable and rife with corruption and mismanagement. So there will be a focus on disinvestment, privatizing, listing on the Colombo Stock Exchange, and basically looking to make them profitable. Obviously, another area will be the subsidies that will be given in terms of electricity and energy. Those will be other areas that will see a focus where the IMF will enforce some conditions and force the government to get back on track in terms of its budget situation.
Looking at the decisions made roughly in the last 3 months, do you think we are on the right track?
Yes. So what is important is for the government of Sri Lanka to instill confidence. Instill confidence in the people of Sri Lanka, the voters. Instill confidence in the private sector in Sri Lanka. And importantly, instill confidence in international lenders and international investors. Without this confidence, Sri Lanka will not be able to advance to the next level. So how do you get about doing that? The main way is to come up with a team that is data-driven, competent, and driven by technical expertise, and have a plan that is both pragmatic and also viable and based on evidence-based policy, as opposed to some ad hoc decisions. So if Sri Lanka can present that to all these different sectors, to the voters, to the private sector, and to the international lending community, that will instill confidence, and that's where Sri Lanka can progress.
If you did take a SWOT analysis of Sri Lanka right now, what would you say?
Yes, so Sri Lanka has incredible potential. You've got human capital potential, you've got natural resources. So how does Sri Lanka leverage those assets? The key part is ensuring that you have evidence-based policy actions, competent technical individuals running those programs, and making sure that you actually reach as many of the most vulnerable and ensuring that they are not excluded from participating in the economy. One of the other key ways, and I've been thinking about this for a while, is how can Sri Lanka take advantage of the second largest state economy, the most industrialized state in India, which is Tamil Nadu. You've got a 310 billion GDP sitting 20 miles from Sri Lanka's borders. How does Sri Lanka tie into those global supply chains and be part of that $310 billion GDP? And that's going to be a catalyst for growth across Sri Lanka. So that's one aspect of how you leverage these natural resources and the human capital that Sri Lanka has.
So one, we are talking about bridging that trust deficit, and secondly, we are looking at using our human resources and the talent we have and putting it in the right place. We have potential, but whether we use it right is another matter. Our partners on the program keep us positive, daring, different. A big thank you to Skills for Inclusive Growth, Selinco Life and CDB. You are surely the best. If you like what we have for you, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.